Monks. Some teachers in the world say different things about the world. Some say, the world has an end. Others say, the world has no end. They explain these ideas in 4 different ways. Good monks and wise teachers. Why do some people believe the world has an end? And why do others believe it has no end? What reasons do they use to explain these 4 ways? Monks. In this world, there are some monks or teachers who work very hard to remove all bad thoughts and defilements. They practice again and again, stay careful, think good thoughts, and train their minds well. By doing this, they make their minds calm and steady. When their minds are very steady, they believe the world has an end. They say, why do I say this? Because I have trained with strong effort, practiced again and again, stayed mindful, kept good thoughts, and made my mind steady in this way. With this steady mind, I live as if the world has an end. So I know the world surrounded on all sides has an end. Monks. Some monks and teachers explain why they say the world has an end or has no end for these kinds of reasons, just like in this first example. Monks. Some wise monks and teachers have a belief about the world. They say the world has no end. They work very hard to remove bad thoughts. They practice again and again. They stay careful and think good thoughts. By this training, they make their minds calm and steady. With this steady mind, they live thinking, the world is endless. It has no end. They say, why do I say this? Because with strong effort, repeated practice, careful attention, and good thoughts, I trained my mind. When my mind became steady like this, I lived knowing the world has no end. From this experience, I know the world is infinite and has no boundary. Monks. For these kinds of reasons, some monks and teachers explain, like in this second example, that the world is endless and has no end. Monks. Some wise monks and teachers have a belief about the world and explain it in another way. They work very hard to remove bad thoughts. They practice again and again. They stay careful and think good thoughts. By this training, their minds become calm and steady in a balanced way. Not too high, not too low. With this steady mind, they experience a special calm, meditation, where they see signs that can point both ways. Some signs suggest the world has an end, and some signs suggest the world has no end. They say, if someone says the world has an end and is surrounded on all sides, that statement is not correct. If someone says the world has no end and is surrounded on all sides, that statement is also not correct. Why do I say this? Because through strong effort, repeated practice, careful attention, and good thoughts, I trained my mind. In this calm meditation, I see signs that could mean the world has an end, and signs that could mean it has no end. Because of this, I understand both ideas. Monks. For these kinds of reasons, some monks and teachers explain, like in this third example, about whether the world has an end or has no end. Monks. There is a fourth way some wise monks and teachers talk about the world. Some people think carefully and use reasoning. After thinking in this way, they say, the world does not truly have an end, and it also does not truly have no end. They say, if someone says the world has an end and is surrounded on all sides, that is not correct. If someone says the world has no end and is not surrounded, that is also not correct. If someone says the world has an end or the world has no end, that is not correct either. In truth, the world is not simply with an end or without an end. Monks. For reasons like these, some monks and teachers explain this fourth view about the world, that it is not just one or the other, has an end or has no end. Monks. Some monks and teachers believe the world has an end or has no end, and they explain it using four kinds of reasons. Monks. If any monk or teacher believes the world has no end and explains the world has an end or has no end, they are using these same four reasons, or at least one of them. There is no other reason outside these four. Monks. The Tathagatha, the Blessed One, knows this truth. He understands how people who hold these wrong ideas think, decide, and behave. He also knows what kind of results they may face in future lives. The Tathagatha knows this, and he also knows a higher truth. His knowing is not a choice made from greed, anger, or confusion. It is not a result of arguments or guessing. The Tathagatha's ending of defilements is directly known by himself. Monks. The Tathagatha understands how feelings arise, how they fade, how they are experienced, what results they bring, and how they can be controlled. Knowing this, he has no attachment and is free from defilements. Monks. This Dhamma is deep. It is hard to see and hard to understand. It is peaceful and gentle. It cannot be known just by arguing or using logic. It is very subtle and should be understood by the wise. The Tathagatha, the Blessed One, knows this truth by his own higher wisdom and teaches it. Because of this Dhamma, people who speak about the Tathagatha's good qualities can describe them well.